Hi everyone. So we're back for chapter 7 of WYSIWYG, and this chapter is called Bicycles. Are you still not talking to me? WYSIWYG asked. Ben clamped his lips even more firmly together. He was on his way home after the worst day of his life. Ben, it was not my fault, WYSIWYG said. The wish Charlotte made was for you, not for herself, so I had to grant it. Ben sniffed. Perhaps you would prefer it if I did not see you any more, WYSIWYG suggested. No, replied Ben instantly. No, I suppose not. Then cheer up, smiled WYSIWYG. No harm was done. No harm? Ben squeaked. The only reason I'm talking to you at all is because Splitter Lawson wasn't at school today. I hate to think what would have happened if he had been at school. WYSIWYG, the least you can do now is grant me my wish. I have already told you I cannot do that, WYSIWYG reminded him. You will just have to ask your mum and dad to buy you a bicycle. I don't care about the bike. I wish Dad had a mountain bike. I wish Dad had a whole garden full of mountain bikes, all in his size. See, I don't care about the stupid mountain bike. What I really want, what I really wish for is a brother. I'd even settle for a sister. I am not, WYSIWYG began, but she didn't get much further. Ben! Ben! Ben turned around as WYSIWYG ducked back down into his backpack. It was Ben's best friend Stephen calling him. Instantly Ben felt his face begin to burn with shame. Stephen ran up to him, a huge grin on his face. Hi Ben, you really had us fooled for a while. Ben frowned. What are you talking about? We thought you really did like Charlotte until you showed her up. It was great, smiled Stephen. Ben's whole body went burning hot, then burning cold. I didn't mean to show her up, he muttered. Of course you did. You didn't really mean to kiss her, did you? Stephen frowned. Ben didn't answer. They carried on walking. She really hates you now, grinned Stephen. Nice one. Stephen, yeah? Never mind, Ben sighed, giving up. Can I come round your house for a game of Super Mario? Stephen asked. Ben nodded, his mind too full of other things to speak. What next, he wondered. What next? He didn't have to wait long before his question was answered. They turned the corner into Ben's road and saw a large crowd gathered around Ben's house. What's going on? Ben frowned. That uneasy, queasy feeling in the back of his feeling in his stomach. Ben and Stephen looked at each other. Without either of them saying a word, they both started running towards Ben's house. Excuse me, excuse us, please. Ben and Steve pushed their way through the crowd. And then they saw them in Ben's front garden. Bicycles, lying on their sides, standing upright, leaning against the front door. They were everywhere. Piles and pillars of them, masses and mounds of them, heaps and hills of them, filling the front garden and spilling out of the gate. And from inside the house, Ben's mum yelled, Help! Call the police, someone! I can't get out of the front door! Where did all these come from? Stephen said breathlessly. Ben didn't need to ask. He knew. WYSIWYG. Stephen, stay here, Ben ordered, fighting his way to the back of the crowd. WYSIWYG! Ben opened up his bag. Did you do this? Yup! You wished for a garden full of mountain bikes for your dad, and that is what you got, said WYSIWYG. Is there a problem? But I didn't mean it, squeaked Ben. You earthlings never say what you mean or mean what you say, said WYSIWYG, which is just as well, or I would never fix my ship and get home. WYSIWYG, do something, please, begged Ben. Mum can't get out of the house." "I cannot do anything. You wished for the bicycles," said WYSIWYG. "Then I'll just unwish them," said Ben crossly. "I wish all the bikes in our front garden were gone." Ben pushed back through the crowd again to see if it had worked. It hadn't. "WYSIWYG, why didn't you do it?" Ben whispered. "You wished for something for yourself. I cannot grant those kind of wishes, remember?" Just then they heard Ben's mum again. "Oh, I wish the police would come." Suddenly the wail of sirens filled the air, getting closer and closer. A fire engine and 2 police cars whizzed around the corner. "Whoa, this is better than any video game," said Stephen. Stand back everyone," said a policewoman, ushering the crowd away from Ben's front gate. "That includes you, son," she said to Ben. "I live here. My mum's trapped in there," Ben explained. "Oh, I see. Do you know where all these bikes have come from?" asked the policewoman. Bess crossed his fingers behind his back. "No idea," he muttered. "Don't worry, we'll soon have your mum out," said a fireman who had joined them. The firemen started lifting the bikes out of the garden and lining them up in the street. Ben overheard 2 policemen talking. "I've just checked. There's been no reports of any bikes stolen, not like these ones, and certainly not as many," said one policeman to the other. "So where did they come from then?" asked the other policeman. Ben didn't wait to hear any more. He watched as a mountain of bikes was slowly cleared out of the front garden. Ben glanced at the grown-ups around him. They all seemed to be enjoying what was going on. Ben caught sight of Mrs. Leonard, his next-door neighbour. "Hello, Mrs. Leonard," he said faintly. He crossed his fingers, hoping against hope that she wouldn't want to gossip to him. Hello, Ben," Mrs. Leonard whispered. "Where did all those bikes—" Mrs. Leonard didn't finish her obvious question. She clamped her hand over her mouth. "You all right, Mrs. Leonard?" Ben asked, worried. Surely WYSIWYG's wish must have worn off by now. "I'm fine, thank you," Mrs. Leonard spoke quickly, clamping her lips together the moment the words were out. Then Ben realised what Mrs. Leonard was doing. The wish had worn off, but Mrs. Leonard couldn't know that. She was terrified she would start arguing with herself in front of all of her neighbours. Ben wondered if he should try to explain, but he decided against it. She was grown up, and even if she did listen, she'd never believe him. She'd think he was just making fun of her. Ben turned back to his house. His mum was still trapped in there. "WYSIWYG, do something!" Ben nudged his school bag. "I think I will shut down for a while," said WYSIWYG. "Placing all those mountain bikes in your front garden has drained all my primary energy." "That's not the something I had in mind," Ben argued. No answer. "WYSIWYG! WYSIWYG!" Ben hissed. "Ben, why are you talking to your school bag?" Stephen asked curiously. I wasn't. I was just wondering how long it'll be before Mum can come out of the house." "Don't worry, Ben. Your mum will be fine," Stephen smiled. Ben nodded. And Stephen was right. At last his mum emerged from the house, looking confused as well as very annoyed. "Where on earth did all those bikes come from?" she asked. They didn't come from anywhere on earth, Ben thought. They came from a creature from Oricon, who was now fast asleep in Ben's school bag. Later that night, as Ben and his mum and dad sat at the table having their dinner, Ben's dad said, "I'd still like to know where all those bikes came from." Said Ben's mum. "It's obviously someone's feeble idea of a joke." "I hope we find out who, and soon," said Ben's dad. "If those bikes aren't claimed, the police said that all 50 bikes will belong to me. What do I want with 50 bikes? I don't even want one." "Ben, it's a shame they were all too big for you," said Ben's mum. "Then maybe you would have stopped pestering us about getting you a mountain bike." Don't worry, Mum. I don't care if I never see another bike for as long as I live, Ben said. Then thinking about it, he added, well, I don't want to see another bike for the next couple of weeks anyway. With WYSIWYG around, Ben wanted to make sure that he said what he meant, and he meant what he said, even if he wasn't wishing. Who knew what might happen otherwise? And the next chapter, chapter 8, is called Splitter Lawson. See you next time. Bye.